Unfortunately, I would say by the late 80s, there was a transformation of the Palestinian movement. So much so that mistakes were made at the time of the Gulf War, and there was also a tremendous sense of subservience, what I call willing subservience, that they felt that with the end of the Cold War, the collapse of the Soviet Union, that one had to throw oneself in the arms of America. And here, my role became doubly critical. That is to say, I was not only continuing to speak about Palestinian self-determination and freedom from oppression and dialogue and a political resolution, which I always believed was the only resolution, not through armed struggle, but also because I believed that decisions made, mostly represented by the Declaration of Principles in Oslo that was signed on the White House lawn in September of last year, were tremendous mistakes. They were diversions from liberation, and in fact, the leadership represented by Yasser Arafat of the PLO had put itself in the position of accepting a role that was subordinate to Israel, that the PLO would become the enforcer of the occupation since the Israelis were going to remain, their army, their settlements, and so on, with tragic results that we saw in Hebron on February the 25th, and many others like that. And B, because I think the Palestinian leadership under Yasser Arafat also thought that by making this deal secretly with Israel, they would save themselves. And I felt they completely disregarded the interest of the large mass of the people, 50% of whom don't live in Palestine, are stateless refugees in Lebanon and Syria and Jordan and so on. And that, in effect, the movement had abandoned its liberationist ideal and became the first, I say this with a great deal of shame as a Palestinian, that we are the first liberation movement in the 20th century to have made a deal with the occupation before the end of the occupation. No other liberation movement did it. And I think instead of it, as they represent it, as being an important achievement, I think it was a tremendous capitulation. So I've kept up as much as I can the struggle against the leadership. I do it publicly in the Arabic press, but also in the European and English and American press. But because of my illness, I don't feel I can participate more than that in politics. But I believe the only answer is a change in the leadership and a new direction for the struggle.